Well, welcome back to some more 42nd Street Pete's Grindhouse Halloween Extravaganza. And today's film is from 1956, Bela Lugosi's last good film, Bride of the Monster, directed by none other than Ed Wood. And speaking of Ed Wood, a lot of people are celebrating 100 years of Ed Wood. Friend of mine, Adam's going out to Portland to do something. There's all kinds of things going on about Ed Wood, except showing the fucking movies. Because once again, Wade Williams reaches out from beyond the grave and fucks things up that should be okay, because now his lawyers are throwing injunctions against people that want to run Plan 9 or Bride of the Monster or whatever. God's honest truth is that this idiot took films like Attack of the Giant Leeches, knocked the opening credits off it, and put Wade Williams Presents Attack of the Giant Leeches like he had any creative ability whatsoever. The only creative ability Wade Williams ever had was to steal shit and then go after YouTubers for even using trailers for the films that he stole. So, you know something, Wade? Fuck you. I'm glad you're gone. If your lawyers follow you, it'll be a nice thing because those are the ones that are coming up the works. But anyway, back to the film. In my mind's eye as a child, after seeing Lugosi in Dracula and other films, Return of the Vampire, seeing Lugosi in Bride of the Monster, in my mind, he was still the same Lugosi. Of course, years later, I would recognize how much he had deteriorated health-wise and from the drug use and stuff like that. But like I said, when I saw this film, I thought it was great. He's Dr. Vornoff. He's out in the swamp somewhere trying to create a race of atomic supermen by frying their brains with some kind of, I don't know, hair dryer thing or something like that from the 50s. But anyway, Tor Johnson's on hand as Lobo, his man-beast servant. Conrad Brooks is out there somewhere, as is Paul Marco, who basically, these guys made careers hitting conventions as the characters they portrayed. You know, Kelton the Cop and Conrad Brooks, who I ran into a lot in the early days at Chiller, who was a cool little guy, annoying at times, but you grew to love the guy because he was just one of those fucking happy to be alive people that were just happy to be remembered and recognized and things like that. So, yeah, the movie's cheesy, but Lugosi gives it his all, even wrestling that octopus at the end where they forgot to get the motor. I honestly still think it's a good film. I think it's a fitting, last hurrah for Bela because honestly, if Ed Wood hadn't come across him, I don't remember the exact, how that happened or whatever, going by the movie Ed Wood, he was looking at a coffin or something like that. But odds are that if he didn't meet Ed Wood, we would have never heard from Bela again. And that would have been sad. So we didn't get the best, but we got some good shit with Bela. And, Bela was another one of those guys. He was a good actor. I mean, not only did he do horror roles, he was in some crime movies, he was in a bunch of other things. So, he was around, except, the problem was that he basically was wounded in World War I and had horrible pains in his legs and became a drug addict because of that. It's really fucking sad. But, all these guys just, were such great, great actors. And they just kept on going because they wanted to work. And I think that's what the thing with Bela. I don't think it was a question of, I know he was hurt for money and stuff like that. But I honestly think, the guy just wanted to work. And Ed gave him that chance to work. And it was wonderful. The film is what it is. I mean, like I said, as a kid, this thing used to pop up in the weirdest places, on these little showcases in the middle of the afternoon and late at night and things. And, we watched it, and like I said, Bela was Bela to me. Bela never aged until I got older and, like I said, realized what had happened. But I don't even know if you can find this film anymore because, like I said, this miserable prick basically locked up all these properties, and they should be out on Blu-ray. There should be an Ed Wood set with Glenn or Glenda, Plan 9, and Bride of the Monster, and maybe Night of the Ghouls. But I don't think this is ever going to come to fruition because it's the same thing what I mentioned about Susan Hart. How much fucking money do you want to do this, really? And by the time you really get your head around to doing it, is anybody really going to be interested? I would hope so. I would like to see some of these films restored on Blu-ray because some of the restorations that I've seen from other films are great. But unfortunately, we have a bunch of greedy bastards out there who are going to hold out for the highest dollar, and that's what fucks it up for the fans. And like I said, all these films that he has in his quote library were all public domain and should still be public domain. There is no reason to keep the fans from not being able to see these films. So, again, Bride of the Monster, 1956, Bella's last hurrah, and a good one. Definitely worth a look if you can find it. So, that's our show for today. Thanks for subscribing, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow for another monster movie.